Yo, my dudes, today we're going to be going over Marincess-Eldlich. At first, I came up with this deck as a joke to prove that you can literally stick the Eldlich engine into anything and it still works, and to give my opponent an aneurysm from the sheer absurdity of the combination, but after continuously winning with it against meta and high rogue decks, I realized it was actually a legitimately good deck in its own right. To start up our lineup of main deck monsters, we're going to have triple copies of Marincess-Blue-Tang. She's one of your best normal summons, and one of the best ways to get your combo going. When she's summoned, she can send a Marincess monster from the deck to the grave, and then you'll be able to use other effects to either return it to your hand or summon it from the grave. When she's used as a link material, she allows you to go through the top of your deck in order to add a Marincess to your hand, maintaining your card advantage. Triple copies of Marincess Pascalis. When she's normal or special summoned, she can summon another Marincess from the hand. Her plus any one Marincess equals full combo. Marincess Seahorse does the same thing as all of the Crusadia monsters, in the sense that she can summon herself from hand to a zone a link monster points to. 2 copies of Marincess Mandarin. She can summon herself from the hand or the grave to a zone a link monster points to, as long as you control 2 or more Marincesses. Two copies of Scriptron. He can summon himself by banishing a Cyberse from the grave, except another copy of itself. Three copies of Eldlich the Golden Lord. He can discard himself along with a spell or trap in order to remove a card from your opponent's field, and then he can send a spell or trap from your side of the field to the grave in order to return himself to hand and then summon himself. It's important to note that your Marincess combo will lock you into water, therefore, if you want to be doing Eldlich gimmicks, you do that first. Triple copies of Ash Blossom Joyous Spring. Really good hand trap, but you can swap it out for a different hand trap if you so prefer. Or a Kaiju, that's also pretty handy if you're going up against decks that can power through Interruption. Single copy of Ghost Ogre and single copy of Ghost Bell. So Ash can stop an effect that adds from deck to hand, summons from deck, or sends from deck to grave. Ghost Ogre can blow up a card on field when it activates its effect, and Ghost Bell can prevent graveyard manipulation. To start up our lineup of spells, we're going to have 2 copies of Marincess Battle Ocean. You can search it very early on in the combo, so you only need the 2. Some people even play it at 1, but I prefer using it at 2 in case my opponent has any kind of removal. Triple copies of Cynet Mining. It's the generic searcher for all the Cyberse, and therefore for all of the Marincesses. You discard a card, then you add a level 4 or lower Cyberse from the deck to your hand. Single copy of Raigeki. We could be playing this at 3 since the ban list has been updated, but you honestly don't want to be seeing multiple copies of this in your hand. You only need the 1. But it blows up all monsters your opponent controls. That can, at the very least, bait out to negate. Triple copies of Infinite Impermanence. Works as a trap or a hand trap if you're going second. It can negate the effects of a face-up monster on the field, and then if you had set it as a trap, it can then negate spells and traps in its column. Two copies of Elixir of Scarlet Sanguine can summon an Eldlich from the deck, and then during the end phase it can banish itself in order to set Golden Land from the deck. Two copies of Conquistador of the Golden Land. He can summon itself as a monster, and then if you've got an Eldlich on the field, it can blow up one of your opponent's cards. During the end phase, it can banish itself from the grave to set one of your Scarlet Sanguines from the deck. Aquero of the Golden Land can summon itself as a monster, and if you've got an Eldlich, it can hit a card in your opponent's graveyard. During end phase, it can banish itself to set one of your Sanguines. Triple copies of Marincess Wave. If you've got a Marincess-Link monster, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls, negate its effects until the end of the turn. If you've got a Link 2 or higher, all face-up monsters you control are unaffected by your opponent's card effects till the end of this turn, and if it's Link 3 or higher, you can activate it directly from the hand. Meaning that you've got a total of 6 traps that can activate from hand in this build. It's one of the best interruptions for Marincesses. 2 copies of Storming Mirror Force. Now, if you're one of those anti-battle trap guys, swap it out for a Kaijuran trap of your liking. That is completely up to you. I just like playing with this. It's fun, and gives my opponent trust issues. They tend to waste their removal on the things that are set in the back rather than the field spell, if they know I'm running this. 2 copies of Marincess-Eldlich. Wow, so original. A Link 1 that searches the field spell. We've never seen that before. Oh wait, we've seen it like 5 times already. And because one Link 1 isn't enough, another Link 1. 2 copies of Marincess Blue Slug. Once Link summoned, it can return a Marincess from grave to your hand. This does lock you into water, so again, if you're going to be doing Eldlich gimmicks, do it before you use this. Double copies of Marincess Coral Anemone. This is one of the best extenders in the entire deck. When it's summoned, you can then bounce a Marincess from the grave to the field. You can also do this at any point during the turn because it's not on summon. And then when it leaves the field, like for instance if you use it as a link material, it can then return you a Marincess from your grave to your hand. So it's a +1 by summoning from grave, and a +1 when it leaves the field in terms of hand advantage. 2 copies of Marincess Crystal Heart. Not particularly good in its own right, but Battle Ocean states that it has to be the material for your monster if you want it to be unaffected by your opponent's cards. So it's useful to have. I run 2 of it, so that again, if my opponent has any kind of decent interruption, I can still go through my combo again. Single copy of Marincess Great Bubble Reef. She's one of your options for your boss monster with the Marincess combo. So during the standby phase, including your opponent's standby phase, you can bash a water monster from grave to draw. This maintains your hand advantage, and with the amount of hand traps we're running, that can then give you extra interruptions. Single copy of Splash Mage. He can resurrect one of your Cyburses in defense position, so any of your main deck Marincesses. Double copy of Marincess Marbled Rock. So she can return a Marincess card in your grave to your hand, including your spell and trap. So that's handy if you want to reuse those. By the way, the trap's not once per turn, so yeah, just throwing that out there. Marincess Wonderheart. She's convenient for stalling out battles against beatsticks, and she can replace herself when destroyed. She's the one that you can honestly cut in favor of another anemone if you want. But she's good to have as another option. Single copy of Behemoth Shark. He can summon another low-level water Xyz monster from the extra deck. Totally awesome. That's what you'll be summoning off of the Behemoth Shark. He is a negate and steal. Alright, that'll be all. Enjoy.